my new video of UGC NET Home Science Paper 2. Okay, so let's start. The first question was on an old paper was about flower arrangement. Means they were asking that why should we cut the plant stem obliquely or at any angle, not at right angle, but on an angle like 45 degrees, because here we can see that plant heal properly due to this. That's why, and they have a very large surface area when we cut plant in any diagonally when we cut any stem. Okay, we all know that the game gum arabic is a stabilizer or thickening agent in soups and curries. Okay, and function of habitat is, these are the functions. You can pause it and read it carefully. Okay, table de hote means few choices are available. That's it. Table of the host. The one man decides what you will eat. That's it. Du jour menu. In this menu, there is a specific day of the week. Means on a specific day you have a specific meal. Like for in a hostel messes, we know that there is a special dish on Sunday or Saturday. Okay. Okay. These are the kind of parenting styles. One of the questions was asking about that. Sub, the most best one of them is authoritative because it helps students. Sorry, it helps children to grow properly, like solve problem together with child, set clear goals and expectations, open communication and natural consequences, etc. Okay, and just opposite of that was authoritarian. You can say that you can remember it as a authoritative positive, means this is here parenting style is positive or good for children. Authoritarian, this is the opposite of authoritative. Okay, this is like a dominant parent dominant style. Okay, then there is it is a table for RDA for for different uh, age group of children. Okay, for energy, protein, fat, iron, etc. Okay, F test. What is F test? To calculate the ratio of the two variances, and it has a formula of F value equals larger sample variance divided by a smaller sample variance. Okay. What are the common barrier of communication? Use of jargon or technical language, emotional barriers and taboos, lack of interest, distraction, and relevance to the receiver, differences in perception and point of view. Okay, and there is a difference between formal and extension education. So here we can say that the main difference is that the formal education is for students only, and the extension education is for all, like say farmers. Okay, this is the main difference, and others you can read it out by pause the video and note it down if you want. Okay, there was a one question on a previous year paper that on which year Indian Society of Extension Education is founded. So the answer is 1964. Okay, what is peer comparison test? We all know. There are two different samples are presented to the subject. One asks which of the two sample has most of the sensory property. Example, which of the two product has the sweetest taste? Sorry, spelling. There is a spelling mistake here. I should have put E. Okay. Germination enzyme activation. So, xylanase, protease, and beta glucanases are the enzyme which activated during germination process of seed. Okay, what is tinopol? Tinopol is the optical whitener. Okay, then this is the dyeing process. We can compare this that compare like that. Scoring first of all, then bleaching, dyeing, drying, and finishing. Okay, here are the details of this process. Okay, there's the difference between the individual decision making and group decision making. Both have pros and cons of themselves. Okay, like individual decision is said to be, we can say that it is faster than a group decision making. Okay, accountability is easier to determine. One person is accountable here. Here, the group of people accountable for that. Okay, sequence of caring of clothes: washing, bleaching, ironing, drying, cleaning, dry cleaning, wringing, and drying. Okay, so this is the Burlow's model called SMCR model, source message channel receiver. Samkar model. Okay, Robert Chambers was the person who founded the participatory rural appraisal, and also RRA, rural rapid appraisal. There's a detail, you can read it out. Okay, Cognitive conditioning of learning. We all know that very famous conditions of Gagne: gaining attention, informing learners of the objective, stimulating recall of prior learning, presenting the stimulus, providing learning guidance as elicit promote performance, providing the feedback, assessing performance, enhance retention and transfer. Okay, the next question was about the multiple intelligence theory of Howard Gardner. So these are the seven kind of multiple intelligences, like logical, mathematics, linguistics, spatial, musical, body, kinesthetic, interpersonal, and intrapersonal. Okay, they are the four principles of bundle of social learning. Number one, attention and focus matter. Attention depend on context. Reproduction occurs on demand. Motivation can be intrinsic or extrinsic. Okay, there's a Braille system which is helpful for blind people to read, such as English, Spanish, Spanish, Arabic, Chinese, and other. Okay, what is VSAT? Very small aperture model. A small Earth-sized station used in the transmit or receive of data, voice or video signals over the satellite communication network, excluding broadcast television. The hub controls the entire operation of the network. Okay, what is dry cleaning? We don't use water in that. Instead, we use petroleum solvent. That's it. Besides that, eco-friendly solvent like CO2 can also be used. Used for silicon board. Okay, what is variance? Variance is the expectation of the square deviation of the random variable from the its population mean or sample mean. Means variance is a measure of dispersion. Meaning is a measure of how value how the value varies from the central value or average value. It's called variance. Why kids? We all know that these are the iron inhibitor or anti-nutrition. You can say that found in almost all kind of seeds. Bad cholesterol. Okay, LDL is a bad. Means the fat that have low density means that they have a larger volume to occupy. So the low density lipoprotein are bad cholesterol, while HDL high density lipoproteins are good because they are serving like a vehicle for transferring of and transporting and movement of fat triglycerides. Okay, other one is about Everett Rogers innovation diffusion theory. Any idea or process or any practice, first of all, go through the innovators, means those who invented those processes and phenomena had to use it first of all and taking the risk of that. So these are the very less amount of people, like 2.5%. Then after that, some people come like early adopters. They are in percent, as we see, 13.5%. After that, early majority, or about 34% of people accept that idea. After that, remaining 34%, which we call late majority, will accept the idea. After all, the most uh, traditional people or poor people, or they have very less knowledge, those are called laggards. They develop at last of all. They adapt an idea at last. Okay. Okay. So work simplification have five level of changes according to Mundale. Mundale. Number one, changes in body position, number, and types of motion. Two, changes in tools, works, arrangement, and equipment. Three, changes in production sequence, changes in finished product, changes in raw material. These kind of the techniques we can use for simplify our work. Okay, so we all know that the natural dyes are formed by natural fruits and vegetables and leaves and other plant origin products. Here are the details. You can read it if you want. Okay, what is coefficient relation? Correlation coefficient. Okay, here we can see that when the coefficient of correlation r is less than 0, it is negative. When r is minus 1, there is a perfect negative correlation. Okay, absorption for the absorption of carotenoid, I have read about an article which shows that dietary fat requirement is necessary for keratin utilization. Okay, because we know that keratin is the precursor of vitamin A, which is fat soluble vitamin. Decision making, consensus decision making is kind of decision making. We can call it as a group decision making. Okay, so now the question is about the interior designing. That, that is how to make a room look bigger. We all know that light paint can make a room look bigger, and we can also use mirrors for uh, creating an illusion of big room. Okay, like this. See the open space here and the glass appealing ourselves, appealing us that the room is big enough, although it is not big enough. insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. So it is a homework for you. You have to read about it. What is the dietary management of IDDM? Yeah, or insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. Okay. Next is was about what is the microscopic structure of wool. So it's like this. Longitudinally, you can see the hexagons are forming there, and in the TS section, you see the cortex and the medulla. Here are the benefits of mercerization. You all know that it is very common in cotton, which gives its silk-like luster. Here is the process of fabric dyeing. First of all, as we all know that received gray fabric means a raw fabric from knitting. Scouring means it's washing with soap water, then bleaching, acid process for acid medium, enzyme processing, then fabric dyeing with different dyes, then neutralization of the acid we used above, then soaping, then fixing, batch upload, hydroelectric hydro extracting by hydro extractor, then fabric slitting by slitting, stentering by stenter, compacting by compact, and quality inspection. Then at last delivery to the fabric cutting unit. Okay, so here's about the workplace, how the workplace should be for working for any worker to work efficiently. Means if he is working for an standing work, then here's the criteria for that. If you have doing precision work, then the height of the table should be equal to the from foot to elbow. Light for light work, just below the just below the elbow, and for the heavy work, we have to put the height of workstation or table equal to our pelvic girdle. Okay. Okay. For example, for work that requires the application of force from the shoulder and back muscles, work should be about 100 to 250 mm lower than the level of the elbows. Okay, here is the citric acid cycle. What is important here is that we don't know, we don't worry about the mass here. We just want to, we were just can remember that it starts with a 3 carbonic compound, which after the removal of one carbon as a CO2, we get 2 carbon molecule called acetyl coenzyme A. This joined with 4 carbonic oxaloacetate to form again 2 and 4 make 6 carbon citrate. Then an isomerase enzyme make it an isomer called isocitrate. Then CO2 is again released, and we all we have is alpha ketobutyrate. We have 5 carbons. Then again decarboxylation of 1 carbon in the carbon dioxide, we get 4 carbonic molecule called succinic coenzyme A. Then after the release of coenzyme A, we get succinate. Succinate then converted into fumarate by the reduction means addition of hydrogen from FADH2, FAD to FADH2. Then fumarate is hydrolyzed by water to form malate. Then again hydrogen is removed by NAD positive to form oxaloacetate from malate, and then the cycle reverses again and again. Okay, here is the four principle of Bandura's theory: attention, retention, reproduction, motivation. Okay, you all know, we have to remember this sequence only. Paying attention to the model is a condition of learning. Okay, then remembering what the model did is the condition for imitating the model's behavior. Third, reproduction. People must have the capacity for imitating the behavior. Then motivation. People must motivate to imitate behavior. Okay, what are direct dyes? There are two types of direct dye: anionic dye and cationic dye. These are the dyes. Okay, here is the Erik Erikson's psychosocial development. Okay, so first of all, we start with infant to 18 months of age children goes through trust versus mistrust, virtue developed, hope. Okay, means for example, we can say that when a child is very hungry, then the mother breastfed him or her, then he or she will develop a hope, feeling of hope that somebody will uh, fulfill my hunger. The next stage is 18 to 3 years, which have social psychosocial tasks: autonomy versus shame and doubt. Means between the 18 months to 3 years, children use autonomy versus shame. Means they want to initiate some kind of thing, and they observe how can we react with that. And if we shout at them, if we scold them, or give a negative reinforcement, then they will not do the same thing again. And if we do the positive reinforcement or appreciating their work, then they will develop a good behavior for repeating that same act again and again to get appreciation of yours. Okay, so this uh, stage they developed will. After that, 3 to 5 years, initiative versus guilt. If they starts, they take an initiative and you give them a positive feedback, then they feel proud. And if they initiate anything and you give them negative feedback, and then they were in guilt. They they feel guilty about that. Okay, so the virtue develop is purpose. 5 to 13 years, industry versus inferiority. Okay, 5 to 13 years, between 5 to 13 years we develop the competitive temper. Means okay, I have to go ahead from these guys. Okay, other is 13 to 21 years. Here, identity versus confusion, and the virtue develop is fidelity. Means here people want to make their own identity, and if they don't make any identity, then they will become confused. For example, they on 13 to 21 years they have to choose a subject called biology or mathematics, or they have to decide which field they want to go. And if they identify that, then they will proceed in that direction. For example, one um, uh, children want to be a doctor, then he will take biology in 12th, then biology in BSc also, and further uh, MBBS and other things he can do. So he should not have any confusion about that. Versus if they do not decide what to choose and they randomly select the subject, then there is a confusion in their mind that what should I do, engineering or medical. So the fidelity is developed in here. Then between 21 to 39, the psychosocial task is intimacy versus isolation. In this range of age, usually people indulge in the marriage life and love and etc. So the feeling of love they have developed. After 40 to 65 years, the psychosocial crisis is generativity versus stagnant. Okay, then the virtue develop is care. Older than 65 and 65, integrity versus despair. Okay, and the virtue develop is wisdom, or we can say that the new lessons they have learned, what they have learned, the change in their behavior, and overall we can see that they will become developed, and they are what they are doing at that period of time, only reviewing back what they have done so far in their life, and either they feel proud of that, the good thing they have done, either they will feel guilty about that. Okay, or feel like what they have done in their life. Okay, then there are type of attachment. The attachment theory of child in child development, there are following type of children defined: secure, avoidant, and ambivalent. Okay, secure means here you can study it in detail. These are stages of attachment. First of all, pre-attachment, birth to 6 weeks, then indiscriminate, 6 weeks to 7 months, then discriminate. They can discriminate their mother and other aunt, etc. And then 10 months. Okay, you know that biotot spot signify vitamin A deficiency and is histopathologically characterized by a law of globulate cells, accumulation of gram-positive bacilli, and keratinization of the conjunctival epithelium. Another disease called angular cheilitis is a condition that causes red swollen patches on the corner of the mouth where your lips meet and make an angle. Other name for it are puzzleish and angular stomatitis. Then it is a synthetic fiber made from natural sources of regenerated cellulose such as wood and related agricultural products. What is malnutrition? Insufficient intake of nitrogen containing food, protein, to maintain a nitrogen balance or nitrogen equilibrium. Children are particularly prone to develop protein malnutrition.